Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining me. Today's Power Teacher training. Today we're going to be going over um, our Power Teacher training for the Power Teacher Gradebook. It's the Power Teacher Gradebook that gets locally installed on the computer. It is the Java application. It's the original gradebook that PowerSchool comes with. Um, if you're not sure if this is the right training for you, we do have an afternoon training today. And there's going to be another recording with the new PowerTeacher web version of the gradebook. So we do have that scheduled at 1 o'clock if you're interested. But today we'll be going over the original gradebook in PowerSchool. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll pause along the way. On screen, what you guys see here is the OCS Certified PowerTeacher Training Manual. I've shared this out with all of you guys. Please keep this handy throughout today's webinar. We're going to be going over this and much more. And so without any further ado here, let's get started. This OCS Certified Training Manual was put together some time ago, but it's all very relevant. The gradebook, the original gradebook that PowerSchool released has not changed very much. They've improved some performances in the background, but the application itself and the features haven't changed very much. So all of this is still very relevant to this training. So to begin with, let me go ahead and mention the gradebook can be accessible via web. So for all you teachers that are brand new to our system, that is something that's really, really nice about PowerSchool. Okay, here's the URL that I'm highlighting on screen. If you copy and paste that from the manual into your web browser, it's going to take you to the login page of PowerSchool. So if you have a web browser, you're going to be able to hit the PowerTeacher website and then get into the PowerTeacher Gradebook that way. Okay, let's go ahead and go through this manual. So again, we're going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to go ahead and sign out of here and simply just paste the PowerTeacher website and go. So the first part of this training is trying to get to the PowerTeacher website. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, if you simply just type in artchicago.powerschool.com/teachers, you're going to be able to see the login page on screen. Okay. So if we go through the first part of this training, the first part of this training talks about getting familiarized, logging in and getting in familiarized with the PowerTeacher site itself. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And as you can see, my on-screen display now looks very much like the first page of the manual. So this is your start page on the PowerTeacher website. This is where everything starts on the PowerTeacher site. Okay, so for all our new teachers, this is where you're going to go, record attendance, and then you can also from here get right into your gradebook. Okay, so let's go over a few things on page 4 here. We talk about the PowerTeacher logo. The only reason we talk about that is you could always click on that logo on the top left corner of your screen to get back to the start page. So as you navigate this portal, click on different links. If you want to get back to the start page, always just click that logo. And that's your home button. That's the way to get back to the start page. There's a few links that I'm going to cover really quick. These are probably one of the most useful links on the PowerTeacher site. You've got a staff directory, a method of changing your password, amongst other things. Let's go over those really quick. There's a staff directory here on the left. If you click on it, it's going to bring up a listing of teachers, staff, email address, contact information. So if you want to contact your colleagues, you're going to be able to do that here. If you wanted to send a mass emailer, there is going to be a way for you to simply highlight, copy, and paste it into your favorite email client so you can email everybody all at once. So that's under staff directory. Okay, there's also, to change your password, there's a link called personalize. And this link is just on the left-hand side here, and there's going to be a few options to play with. The first one is change password. And so if you click on it, you're going to be able to type in your old password and then create a brand new password. I want to show you guys these features because as you start, as you get to the school, you're going to be giving your login and password from an administrator at your school, more than likely a secretary or a principal or a vice principal. They're going to give you your login to PowerSchool if you don't already have it. After you log in, there is going to be a way to change your password. This is how you go ahead and do it. And then I'll let you guys get more familiarized with the other links. Some that I know I don't particularly use is the meals and the recommendations. Those are features in this software that we don't actually cover in this training, but they are nice. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. Okay. I usually like to pause at each one of these questions and see if each one of these pages and see if there's any questions that need to be asked. I do have a couple on screen here. Please feel free to type in all your questions as we go along. I'll pause at the end of each page or each agenda point to make sure that we cover any questions that were asked throughout that small demonstration. Can you repeat how to send mass emails? Okay, so there was a question on how to send mass emails. So just to be clear, the PowerTeacher portal does not have a way to send mass emails from within the application itself. The only thing it does is if you go to staff directory on the left here, it's going to give you the ability to find all your teacher email addresses. And then from here, what you would do is if you wanted to send out a mass email to everyone, you would just simply highlight, copy, and then open up maybe your Gmail and hit send on that Gmail, paste it into your Gmail and send it there. So there is not a direct way to mass email from within the application itself. That's a good question because there is going to be a way to email students once we get into the gradebook portion of this training. So hold on to that question. We'll revisit it a little later, but at the moment, the only thing I've talked about so far is that there's a capability of copying and pasting email addresses from this box here into something like Gmail or Yahoo or Outlook, whatever you use to send out emails. That's the only thing I've covered so far. Okay, let's keep going. A lot of this stuff is pretty straightforward. There's a couple more links on the start page. Some links can get you to student information data, so that I'm going to cover that actually because I've in these past few months I've gotten a lot of questions about this, so I'm going to cover this a little bit more in detail. Okay. Um, let's go back to the start page. Remember to click on the logo to take you back to the start page. From here, to get access to student information, what you're going to want to do is PowerSchool gives you these icons here. Okay, so as I'm looking at my screen here, this that I'm highlighting is my current schedule. Okay, so these are the classes that are associated to me as the teacher. That's my login. This is my classes associated to me. If for whatever reason you guys find that the classes are not correct, you're missing something or you have something extra in here, check with your administrator so they can fix that for you. Your administrators at the school can set and remove classes to your schedule. So when you log in, you should have the right subjects or class subjects that you're going to teach and grade in your gradebook. Okay, so that should be the first thing you look at when you first log in. Do I have all my correct classes listed? Okay, now everybody should have a homeroom class. Okay, now there might be a few specials teachers, gym teachers, music teachers, art teachers that may not have a homeroom class, and that's okay. So, but for the most part, a lot of people in this training will have a homeroom class. That is the class that we've designated in PowerSchool to record attendance. Okay, so so going along here, these are the icons that correspond to different functions in PowerSchool. Okay, this chair icon will let you take single day attendance. This grid icon will let you take multi-day attendance. This grid chair icon will let you do attendance based off of a seating chart. We'll cover that really quickly. The fork and knife icon we don't use very much. It's a meal module in PowerSchool that could be set up. I'm not going to cover this in this training, but it is a possibility in PowerSchool. There's a printer icon, which you can select and get a list of reports that you can print. And then there's the backpack icon. The backpack icon is all informational stuff about the students in that class. So as you notice, there's backpack icons for each one of my classes all the way down. So I can click on the backpack icon, as I'm going to do here. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to get a list of students who are enrolled in this 4th grade homeroom class that I clicked the backpack icon for. I can change classes to other classes here. So all of the other classes I have on my schedule are listed here on the left-hand side. So I can quickly switch into them. But the topmost list of students, that's about the 4th grade homeroom class that I clicked that backpack icon on. Okay, now to get more information about these students, let's go ahead and click on one of the students. So I'm going to click on the last name. You can click on the first or last name of that student. It should bring up a default screen. At this point, the default screen is their schedule. So I can view what kind of classes the student is taking or is enrolled in. On the right-hand side, I have a drop-down where I can select different screens to view for each one of my students. You can get demographic information. So if you wanted to look up the student's address, phone number, mother's name, mother's phone number, father's phone number, that's all listed under demographics. And so if you, on the right-hand side, if you click on demographics, you're going to be able to get to that student information from there. You can also get to things like meeting attendance. So when attendance is recorded, if you're not the homeroom teacher recording that attendance, say you're a gym teacher, you can always go to meeting attendance for any one of the students in your class and view what kind of attendance they have. Someone didn't show up to your class, check meeting attendance. Maybe they're absent, maybe they're tardy, maybe they were let go on an early dismissal. You know, you have the ability as teachers to go ahead and check that meeting attendance with that backpack icon. That's one of the screens that you can get access to. Net access summary. I'm not going to cover in great detail, and there's really nothing on screen that we can review, but just to give you an idea what net access summary is. So there is a parent portal component to PowerSchool. Okay, so the PowerSchool has a teacher portal, an admin portal, and a parent portal. So the parent portal, parents can create their own account and log in to check the grades and attendance of a student. Okay, this net access summary page can tell you how frequently a parent or a student has logged in to the parent portal and for how long they've been checking the parent portal. So it's almost like a log of how many times a parent has signed into the parent portal. So if you wanted to review this for each one of your students to see are parents constantly logging in to check grades or not, this net access summary will tell you that per student. Okay, so you click on a student, go to net access summary, and it'll tell you if there's anything there to be reported on. Okay. Select screens. Let's go to something else. We can get to print report, but we can also get to there from the printer icon at the start page. Quick lookup is pretty nice because it'll give you a quick breakdown of what the students' classes are and their running grade for trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3. So that's actually really nice to know that you have access to that. And then we also have something called, where's that link here? Actually, I think on the manual, quick lookup might be the last thing we talk about. And one of the things I want to do mention about this quick lookup screen is that this quick lookup screen is, in fact, what the parents see when they log in. So if at your school, check with your administration first before you, if you're not sure if your school's opened up the parent portal, but at your school, you're going to want to check with your administration, can parents see the parent portal? Have we opened up the parent portal to them? If the answer to that is yes, this quick lookup screen is exactly what the parents see. Okay, so that's good information for you to know so that you can review if a parent is seeing a failing grade that maybe you didn't want to publish yet. Check the quick lookup screen, see if the parent can see that screen, that information. Okay. Now it doesn't look like we could do much on this screen, but you can actually click on the letter grade or these. There's no letter grades there, but we can click into one particular class and see what makes up the final grade. So here we would see normally a list of assignments that would make up the final grade for that class. Okay, so that's what we're looking at on screen. I believe you can also get a list of attendance, absences, and tardies, and you can click into them to view the dates. On screen right now, I don't have much data, so we're not seeing a whole lot of useful information at the moment. I'll come back to this after we get into the gradebook so that you see as we create assignments and start scoring them, parents are going to be able to log in and check those assignments and grades. Okay, so let me go back to the manual really quick just to make sure I covered everything. So on the manual on page 5, we talk about selecting the backpack icon to get more information about students. Clicking on the student name on the left-hand side, we reviewed demographics, meeting attendance, and quick lookup. Okay, the meeting attendance is a way to view a student's attendance each day. So that's what we talked about there. Demographics is how you get information about a student's, phone number, address, mother's name, father's name, their phone numbers in case you need to reach out to them. That's going to be under demographics. Meeting attendance and the quick lookup. The quick lookup I don't have a screenshot on page 5 for, but the quick lookup is that screen that you can reference for grades and attendance that parents are viewing. Okay, now you're going to have access to the gradebook, which is going to be the source of all this information. But it's always nice to know that you can always click into the quick lookup screen and view what other people are seeing. The quick lookup screen is shared to parents, teachers, and admins. So if you're unsure about how the information is looking to all those components, you can go to the quick lookup screen. That's what I will see. That's what your administrator, your principal will see. That's what your parents will see. So the quick lookup screen is that ability to see that. Okay. So that was page 5 of this manual. let me go ahead and take a little pause. There's a couple of questions that came in. Um, Let me go ahead and answer this one from the teacher portal. Okay, so I just sent out that answer for the how to send a mass email. So again, we're gonna revisit that question as soon as we get into the gradebook. I just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware that what I was showing on screen was not a method of mass emailing. It's just a way of getting access to those emails. There is another question here for the teacher comments section. Is this private for teacher reference, or can parents/students see this too? Okay. Parents and students and admins can view this too. So I hope that answers your question. Let me go back to the screen that's being referenced here. So I'm going to click on my student. I'm going to go to select screens, and I'm going to go to teacher comments. This is the portion that we were talking about. Is this private to teachers only, or is this shared throughout PowerSchool to teachers and admins? The answer to that is it's shared to everybody. So this portion of it is not private. So whatever you type in for each student in each class, that's going to be public information that's going to be shared here on the report card. Um, there might be a notes area in the gradebook, and I'll revisit that question when we get into the gradebook, where you may be able to put a teacher personal note, but just as a rule of thumb, anything you put into the gradebook, you should almost assume that that's going to be public knowledge. I think in PowerSchool they've developed this thing where they want to communicate as much to the parents as possible through the teacher gradebook, and so that's just kind of been what that is. Where these teacher comments come into play is at the end of each term. So at the end of trimester 1, you're going to want to finalize that grade and then put in a teacher comment for that trimester 1 grade. At the end of trimester 2, you're going to want to finalize that grade and put in a teacher comment for that term grade, that trimester 2 grade. This teacher comments page that we're looking at, that's where those comments will show up. You're going to enter them in the gradebook, and then you can view them, and other people can view them in this teacher comments page. Okay, one more question before we move on to page 6 there. I did not get the manual. Could you please send me one through email? I will send one via email after the training. I'm not sure if anybody was not able to get access to the handouts. It sounds like some people did find the handouts area. So if you could find that handouts area on your GoToWebinar control panel, that's where the manual is. So you could just download it, open it as we're going through it. And but I can certainly send one out after the webinar. And this is going to be recorded, so you could always revisit the recording with the manual, so you can have those side by side. Okay. Okay. One more question, and we're going to move on to the next page. I would like an email link as well to the manual. Oh, yes. Everybody that's in this attendees list will send one. We'll send an email after the webinar. Could parents see the description of activity in the gradebook activity, the description section? Let's take a look at that. Um, I believe I may have gone away from the description section you're referring to. If you can reference that one more time for me, Lori. I'm not sure where that is. Let's take a look at. Um, we might be able to find that a little later in the training here, but I just wanted to see if I can find that description section. Oh, I see. So if we're looking at the quick lookup here, the details for an assignment, the section description, yes. Section description, yeah, they'll be able to see that. So these are things that I believe you can set in the gradebook. We'll show that to you when we get into the gradebook, so you can see where to find that. And yeah, that is information that you could put into the gradebook, and that will come over into the this display here. Also, there is going to be an ability to have a link under the assignments. So if you wanted to put in a quick description of where parents or students can find resources for their homework, there's going to be a link that you can put into each assignment for them to click on, and they can get information about that. I'll show you. We'll get back to this teacher portal as soon as we get into the gradebook. So I'll revisit this question. I've got 3 already to revisit. You guys got to keep me honest here. So let's jump to page 6 here, which is going to be one of the most important things you do every morning, okay, which is taking attendance. Let's jump back to the gradebook so we can talk about it. I'm going to click on the PowerSchool logo to go back to the start page. Now, earlier I mentioned that these are your classes that are assigned to you, right? So all of these classes should be correct. If something's not correct here, you got to check with your administration to see if that was given to you by mistake and maybe can be reassigned to the correct teacher. So I put in something here purposely. I put in a first grade class when you notice that the rest of my classes are 4th grade. That could be an error that I bring up to my administration and say, hey, I'm a 4th grade teacher. I shouldn't have this 1st grade math class. Could you please reassign it to the right teacher? Okay, so reviewing this list of classes is very important. Okay, now to take in attendance. As I mentioned earlier, the way we kind of build all of our attendance recording in PowerSchool is that we always give the teachers the ability to record that attendance in homeroom. So if you are a homeroom teacher, you're going to have a homeroom class for that grade that you're instructing. Okay. The way you take attendance is you're going to be able to click on this chair icon. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on the chair icon. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring up a list of all of your students. Okay, from here, we can simply record attendance by clicking into the box next to each student's name. So notice we're taking attendance for Friday, August 10th. I'm going to mark this student present. I'm going to mark this student absent, or let's do tardy, 1 absent, a couple more tardies in here. And so as you see on screen, as I click into the box, I'm given these options. Okay, these are the options that most teachers will have. You're going to be able to mark a student present, mark a student absent unexcused, or mark a student tardy unexcused. Okay, now are these the only codes you have at your disposal? Yes. However, there are more in the system. Okay. The intention is that you guys as instructors will want to record simply if you know that the student is in the classroom or not, or if they came in late. It's really up to the attendance office to find out why the student was absent. You know, did mom and dad call? Was he sick? Have a doctor's appointment? Have a field trip? Have a vacation that we knew about ahead of time? So you're just going to mark the student absent unexcused. You have the ability to put in a small comment if you heard through passing what is going on with the student, maybe as a doctor's appointment, but that's going to be as far as you're going to be able to do with attendance codes. It is the office's job, the administrators at your school, to find all these absent unexcused codes and possibly change them to absent excused, possibly a half day absence if they come in later in the day. But those are not options to you guys as teachers. The office is going to be able to do these changes. You guys are going to just simply record what you see at the time that you're taking attendance. So when you're taking attendance, if the student is not there, absent. If the student later comes in tardy, you could change it back to tardy. So here, I'll show you what I mean. So these are my attendance codes that I've recorded so far. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And as you can see, when I hit submit, this first line, I have a little orb here that turns green. Let me go back to the start page for that. I'm sorry. This little orb here that I just highlighted just turned green. That indicates that you don't have to click on the chair icon and hit submit again. You've already done it once. And so it's not necessary to do it again. So it's a little indicator that you've gone ahead and hit submit. Okay. Can you click on it again and hit submit one more time? Sure. It doesn't harm anything. As a matter of fact, you can come in here and actually record a student that you initially thought was absent. You could change your code to tardy, and that information does get communicated to the front office. And so when they're looking for a list of who's been absent, who's been tardy, as you make those changes, they're going to see those changes on their side. So you can get in there 1, 2, 3, 4 times throughout the day and change those codes. Okay. Now notice that chair icon, it says attendance for Friday. Okay. You can change the date in which you're recording attendance for here in this drop down. Okay. But you do not have to clear these codes to get it ready for tomorrow or Monday. These codes, you hit submit and you forget about it, okay? Unless you have to come in here and change it, you just hit submit and you forget about it. The system will automatically on Monday bring up a new list with all of these empty for you to record the new Monday's attendance. Okay, so you don't have to go in here and clear it and then wait for get it ready for tomorrow. You set it, submit, and then you just forget about it. Okay, the system will do everything else for you guys. Okay. Um, can you do future attendance? Sure, you can. There might be a restriction at your school, a 5-day restriction. Here on screen, as you can see, I can get access to 3 weeks worth of attendance, but I certainly could click into the next day and submit attendance for Monday ahead of time if I wanted to. Is that practical? Probably not. The more practical thing is just to record the attendance for the day, and then on next day record that attendance, and the next day record next day. That's probably a little more feasible. There is a multi-day option, and we'll go over that in a second. But let me just switch back to the manual, make sure I've covered everything. So on page 6, we talk about clicking on the chair icon for the homeroom class, selecting a code. Okay. Oh, that's actually very important, that first sentence right there. So if you forget to record attendance for a day, say you forget, you were just so busy that Friday that you weren't able to get in there and mark attendance. Okay. The default code that everybody will get if you forget to mark attendance is present. So if you forget to record it, they're just going to be recorded as present. So you don't have to kind of panic that you have to go back in and mark everybody present. That's going to be the default. Okay, you only have to go back and record students that have been absent or tardy. That would be my thing. Go back and record those codes. Could you submit the page simply empty? Yes. So here's another fourth grade classroom. I'm going to click into it. Here's a list of students. Oh, there's no list of students. Let me see if I can click on another one here. Okay, so here's my fourth grade, a different class, um, same students. I can go ahead and just hit submit. The little green orb will light up, and that'll indicate that I took attendance in that class. Um, and so remember, I didn't have to go in and pick present from that dropdown because present is the default code. Okay, so that's something that is very interesting to know in case you ever forget to record attendance, but everybody's in classroom, you might be okay. Okay, check the green submission status. The green submission indicates successful submitted attendance. Yes. So page 6, we're about to wrap up the teacher portal and get into the gradebook portion of it. So I wanted just to review any questions we have. These green globes, these green orbs, very, very important that they're green. When the administrators go in to check attendance, one of the first things they check is what teachers have not submitted attendance. Okay, that's important. So if you fall into one of those teachers that have not recorded attendance, you're going to show up on a list in a report that says, um, teacher still needs to submit attendance. So you might get a call from the office, hey, can you log into the teacher portal? Um, and be sure that you want to hit submit on your attendance. So just wanted to give you guys that heads up because that is going to be something that you may get a call about. All right. Sorry, I was reviewing the questions a little bit, see if there's anything that is on screen that I could review. Let's go over them really quick. So this one is yes, we will revisit this a bit. Okay, send that to all. I logged on late and did not register. Okay. Okay, so some other people didn't get the manual that is on the GoToWebinar control panel, guys. Let's see here. If Office changes the code later, will it still show that the student absent tardy on the teacher pages? Yes. Good question. Yes, that will show that the code was changed. As a matter of fact, that's a really good question because if you guys remember earlier what I mentioned, these are the only codes you guys have access to. However, administrators have access to a much bigger list of codes, right? And so if there's a code that the student was changed to, say, for example, absent excused or tardy excused, you're going to see that here, but it's going to be kind of grayed out. So you're going to see that the admins have overwritten your code with another code, but you're not going to be able to modify that code. So yes, you will see that two-way communication between the teacher portal and the admin portal. So if you record attendance, hit submit, Office goes in, overwrites that code to another code, you're going to be able to come back in here and see that code. You're going to see that that was changed. So that's a really good question. You populated tardy and absent. I'm assuming the blank boxes default to present. That's correct. Anything blank means present. Yeah, there's not an actual present code in PowerSchool. The default is present, so yes. Now again, guys, I'm going to be pausing from time to time at the end of each page in the manual so I can review questions. So feel free to type in all your questions as we're going along. We haven't really gotten into the gradebook. We will in a second, but all of this attendance recording, student information finding, um, staff directory and change password. This is all important information that I run across all the time. Okay, so I want to make sure I pause for a second to give you guys time to think of questions, bring them to my attention. Um, I know that the student information part of it um, was something that a school recently just found out about. I mean, they've been using PowerSchool with us for a number of years, but they weren't aware that you can click on the backpack icon and get access to information like demographics, attendance, quick lookup, net access summary. Those were all things that maybe they don't use quite frequently and weren't quite aware that they had readily accessible to. So I want to cover it here so that it's in the training. You have access to all that information from the teacher portal. Um, so I'll give you guys a second to just jot those questions down. Um, just in reviewing the agenda really quick, one of the things I forgot to mention is a quick introduction. So before we get into the gradebook, I'll just give you guys a little introduction on who I am, what I work for, and how our relationship here is gonna kind of work throughout the school year. Okay, so my name is Gilbert. For you guys that haven't met me yet, I am the PowerSchool Help Desk lead for the Archdiocese. So the Archdiocese uses PowerSchool to help you guys put in your grades attendance. It's the online version of the gradebook. And so with this and the admin portal as well, you guys get a help desk. Okay, that's who I am. I run the help desk for the Archdiocese for PowerSchool. So whenever you guys are stuck, have a question, or have computer problems regarding PowerSchool, you have the ability to call us or send us an email here at the help desk so that we can help you. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'll post our contact information on screen in a second. It's going to be we're going to have a phone number you can call during those work hours. We're going to have an email that you can send an email to whenever you get stuck on things. And then you also have the ability to create a ticket if you want to go to our ticketing website and just create a ticket so we can work on it, once we get into the office. So you guys are not alone in this. As teachers, I know you'll be using the gradebook the most, and you'll be entering a lot of the data. And so I do get a lot of questions from teachers on things like, category weighing, different methods of scoring assignments and grades. And so, you can send us those questions whenever you're ready and start using the gradebook. Okay, and I'll post that at the end of the webinar here. I'll post our contact information so that you're able to reach out to us and we can help you out. Okay, so here we are. We're on page 7, launching the gradebook. This class, we focus predominantly on the original gradebook of PowerSchool. So to get to that gradebook, what you guys will be using here on screen is the teacher site. What you guys will be using is this PTG version of getting into the gradebook. Okay, there's a launch button there, and you also have this arrow button which expands a couple of more options. Okay, so if this is your first time launching the gradebook, what you're going to want to do is click the arrow button and click on Installer. Okay. Now this web page is automatically going to detect whether you're using a Windows or a Mac computer, and it's going to give you on-screen instructions on what to do. So here you can see there's a step 1, download the installer. So you're going to click this download installer, and it's going to download something to your computer. Then once it's done, we'll move on to the next step. So once this is done downloading, we can click next to get to the step 2. Okay, so step 2, it says choose the installation location. So we're going to get this pop-up as soon as the download is finished, and we're going to click on it. Okay, there it is finished on my screen. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. I have that message off screen, so let me see if I can move it. Here we are. It says I already have a version installed. Do I want to overwrite it? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. You might not get that message on screens if this is your first time installing it. Okay, then this is the screen we have on step 2. So it's just telling you to choose the location of the installation. Most of the time you could just leave whatever's in there and just click install, and then the installation process will just go as on screen here. So there's a little progress bar. You can show details on what's going on, but that'll just take a moment to finish there, and we'll let that finish. And the next step, so let's click next here, is simply to click the finish on the installation setup so we can get into the gradebook. So let's see if I have that on screen here next. I'm going to hit next and finish. Okay, so we clicked finish. And now this is very important, this step number 4, which is the activation of the installation. Okay, what it's saying is to click the launch button. It could be this one on the right hand side or this one on the left hand side to activate the gradebook. So the gradebook link has been downloaded to your computer. Now to activate that link, you need to click the launch button. Okay, that's a very important step that a lot of people miss. You have to do it one time from the website, and that'll download another file here that you can just click, and it will activate the installation on your computer and give you access to the gradebook. Sorry, guys. I have 2 monitors, and the installation is kind of happening on my other monitor. So as soon as it pops up, I'll move it on screen here. Here we go. Okay, there you are. Here is the gradebook. Okay, this is the original gradebook. I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk you through what you're going to do in this gradebook. This is what will pop up every time you click that launch button on the website. Also note, there's going to be a link on your desktop that also got downloaded. So you want to view your desktop after you've installed, and you're going to find a installation little icon that was displays. I think it looks something like this here. So step 5, the icon is going to look something like this here, that one that I just highlighted. Okay, so that's the icon you should see on your screen, but you could get to the gradebook by going on the website or double clicking that icon. Either way, after you've activated the installation, you could do either or. Okay. Before I jump into the specifics of the gradebook, one other thing you guys should note before we get going here, there is an older launch link down at the bottom. That older launch, if the original launch is not working, the instant launch button doesn't work, use the older launch. That is gonna work. That's Old Faithful there. That's always gonna work for you guys. Another thing I should mention, this gradebook application is a Java application. So if you don't have Java, get with your tech teachers, get with your tech to get Java installed on your computer. If you know how to do it, you simply just go to java.com, like I'm doing on screen here, download the free version, and go through the installation process to make sure that you have Java installed on your computer. If you do not have this installed, you're going to get a message during the gradebook installation process that you need Java on your computer. So just to make sure you guys are all aware, this gradebook is a Java application. You need Java. Get with your tech teachers, your tech coordinators, your on-site technicians to make sure they put it on there for you. Or if you have permissions to do it, go to java.com, download the free version, and you're going to be able to get into the gradebook after you install Java and after you install the gradebook on your computer. Okay. Um, so before, I believe that I covered everything on page 7 here. Let's take a look here. It's very vague on how to get into the gradebook, but essentially you're going to click the launch gradebook and it's going to get you right into the gradebook, assuming you have Java, assuming you've done the installer already. So here you're getting a little more information in this webinar, so that's awesome. Make sure you guys let me know if there's any questions you have. Before I move to page 8, I do have one question. If it was loaded on my computer by the past teacher, then I'm assuming I don't have to download it again. I just use my own login. That is correct. Now, I actually work for an organization called SBTC. So SBTC is a tech agency in the Archdiocese that we support schools with their technology needs. I will tell you that one of the things that our on-site technicians do over the summer is to re-image computers. So if you have a teacher that left and a new teacher is going to take over their computer, one of the things that I know our on-site technicians do is take that old computer, wipe all the data off of it, and install a new copy of Windows on it as if it were brand new. If that happens at your school, you may still need to download Java. You may still need to go through the installation process because that was whatever data was on there from the old teacher may have been wiped, and then you're going to be starting on your laptop or desktop brand new. And our on-site technicians don't really know if your school uses PowerSchool or not, so they wouldn't normally be instructed to automatically put the gradebook on there, but they certainly can help you. Or you can do it yourself here. So I did want to put that out there because I happen to work closely with schools as well over the summer, and I know that is a process that happens at a lot of schools. Um, so to answer your question, uh, you, it's possible that you may not need to do this anymore. Just log in with your own credentials. So hopefully that helps. Okay, now going back to the manual here. Let's navigate this page a little bit. So I'm going to use a few pointers here and a few spotlighters. So this area right here that I'm displaying on screen, this is the class listing that you're going to be able to have access to. Now, you can always change the term by simply clicking on the drop down here, which I'm going to do in a second. And I'm going to go to the 1819 school year. So by default, it's going to remember the last term you were selected to. So as you guys can tell, the last time I did this training, it was in 1718. We were well into trimester 2 when I did this training, so I'm by default automatically selected the default to trimester 2. So I'm going to go default to trimester 1, 1819, and then the next time I log on, it's going to just jump me straight there. So that's one of the nice things about the gradebook. It does remember the last position you were in. So as you're changing it throughout the term, it's going to automatically default to those changes that you've made. So here we have that class listing. And here are all my students. So as I change classes, I should get a new list of students. See, here's one homeroom, here's another homeroom. I've got 0 students in this homeroom. I've got 13 students in this homeroom. Okay, and as I click through the different classes, you'll notice my class list will change or remain the same depending on who's enrolled in that class. Okay, so I'm going to select this 4th grade computer class for now. We're going to work with this class and we're going to go ahead and go through the training with this. Now, on the left-hand side here, this is student groups. Student groups are not terribly useful, but they are a way for you to like select a group of students. You could even create student groups. So the default is active. You can create individual student group sets. Um, I'm not sure. I'll let you guys decide how you want to build those group sets. But essentially, all it is just a way of grouping students. When you run reports, you can select students by groupings. When you want to email, um, if you wanted to email groups, you can certainly email them um, through this little email student group section. And so it's just a way of creating, little groups, little pods of students um, that may share, I don't know, similar learning patterns or similar, I don't know, maybe in the classroom you have different groups that you can categorize them in. That's where student groups can help you out. I'm not sure if it's super useful. I've never used it. I just always leave the active group. That's the default active. So that's everybody in that class. So I've always just left it as that. Okay. The next thing here down is categories. That's super important. By default, you're going to get a few categories. I believe the default is homework, quiz, test, and maybe presentation. I don't remember if that's the default. You're going to get 3 or 4 categories by default, but you can create your own categories as you click this plus icon here. So the little plus icon is right there. You're going to be able to create your own categories. My rule of thumb with creating categories is keep them very general. Don't make them specific. Okay. What categories are is as you're creating assignments, and we'll see this a little later, as you're creating assignments, every assignment has to be given a category. So whether that's a homework category, a quiz, a test, uh, I have a few in here that says, class participation, project, presentation, you know. So as you're creating assignments, you can get very specific on what that assignment is in the category. So the category is just like a general bin. You're going to get more specific in the assignment setup. Okay. So when you're creating categories, don't have it say math homework page 250, you know, because that you're only going to be able to use that category once for that one assignment. Okay, so the category you want it to be general like homework, and then you can get specific with what the homework is at the assignment creation. Okay, so if you're going to create your own categories, you're going to need to give it a name and some abbreviation. So those two are required. You can specify a particular color, so you can make out the assignments that belong to that category on the gradebook. And this is actually pretty interesting. You're going to be able to set a default points possible for each assignment that falls in that category. Okay, so for testing purposes, let's call this, I don't know, we'll call this training. Give it an abbreviation. Let's see if we can give it a color that's not already in use. We'll go with black. Points possible, we're going to give it 25 points. So what that means is every assignment I create, the default is going to be 25 points for the training category. I could later change that at the assignment level, but at the category level, that's just going to be the default that's going to pop up if I don't change it. Okay. Scoring type, you're going to get a few different ways to scoring. Again, you could change all these defaults at the assignment level. Okay, so we're going to say points for now, include in final grade, leave a check for yes, and then publishing details, you can publish them immediately, or as you can see, you can stagger when the assignment scores get published on a specific day, on or before due date. And so I always just leave it at immediate. publish scores, and here you can create a description of the category. So I'm going to say okay, and then now here on the bottom I have a new category called training, which I can then assign it to a lot of my assignments as I'm creating them. Okay. Can you modify them after the fact? Sure. Here is a homework. I'm going to just double click into it. I'm going to get this little pop-up where it lets me edit the category defaults. I could set this up to 100 points for each homework assignment. And now every assignment that I create that's a homework type of category, it's going to automatically get 100 points when I create a new homework assignment. Okay, let me go back to that the manual because we've got a couple of things to cover here. So we're going to cover these features here that are across the top navigation bar. So that I gave you a quick little view of all the things on the left bar. Let's go across on the top bar here. So starting left to right, we've got the score sheet. The score sheet is going to be a listing of your students, and then as we create more assignments, you're going to see those assignments start to populate across here. So let me bring up a little spotlight. So here's the students, and as I create assignments, they're going to show up across this area right here, this gray area. Okay, so I don't have any assignments now, so there's nothing in there. I'll show you that as we start creating assignments. Okay. The default mode is assignments in score sheet, and the score sheet you could switch terms by dropping down this arrow and switching to T2 or T3. Okay. There's an assignments tab, which is all it is a list of assignments. So if you wanted to be a little proactive and start just to create all the assignments you know are going to be in your curriculum for that trimester, you can jump into the assignments tab and just simply create assignments from here. Okay, there's a little plus symbol at the bottom, which will allow you to just simply click on that, and then assignments will just, you can create a whole bunch here. Whenever you create the assignments here, they're going to go over to score sheet and display across the top here. Okay. So you can create assignments from score sheet, or you can create assignments from the assignments tab. It's either or. I think in the manual it talks about creating assignments through the assignments tab, but you're hearing it here first. You could do it either or. You could do it through the score sheet, or you could do it through the assignments. Either one works. Okay. Student info. This is just a listing of all your students. So this is a way to get information and even record some information for students. Say you wanted to put in a preferred name, find the students' birthdays. Those are all listed here. You even have a couple of extra custom columns where you can fill in some data like locker number, maybe even locker combination, maybe a computer password that you assign to each teacher or each student. Those are all customizable things that you can add into this student info page. I believe, so if you click on the student, you should have something like this pop up. So what I did is I double click. So we'll go ahead and show you. I'm going to double click the student. You're going to have something like this pop up on your screen. And there might be a teacher personal note, and this note might actually be private. So I know earlier when we were talking about teacher comments, somebody had asked if the teacher comments are private or if they're public. The teacher comments, and we haven't really covered that yet, but those are public. The teacher personal note, I believe these are a little more private. And so if you wanted to type in something just specific to you in this teacher note area, you can do it when you click on student info, double click on the student, click on the personal note tab, and then you can type in something to help you remember something about the student there. The student tab should have the same information that's up top. Um, it looks like it does actually give you emergency contact information here. So if you needed to get a hold of one of the students' emergency contacts, they are displayed here. So that's really interesting to note. And there's a grade scale area there, but everybody's set to the same grade scale, so we're not going to worry about that. There's a grade setup area. Okay, the grade setup area. This is where you come into to set your gradebook to a certain calculation type. Okay, so in grade setup, you notice how you've got the three terms here. We're going to double click on trimester 1, and as you see, the way final grade for trimester 1 is calculating is going through total points. Okay, there's term weights and category weights that you can play with. Total points will just do as it says. It'll add up all the points possible and all the points earned, and it'll get you an average of the student's grade, and that average is used to calculate the student's final grade. That percentage value that yields will be put up against this grade scale. So if you click on the grade scale icon up here, this is the grade scale that's assigned to this class. So if a student is receiving a 94, you can see that that's going to fall in this A minus range. So it's going to, I believe it falls into the A minus range in this particular grade scale. Okay, so that student with a 94% would receive that A minus. If they got 100, they fall into this range. And so the way you read this is, I believe these are the lowest thresholds of that grade. And so anything from 100 to 99 is an A plus. 98 to 95 is an A. 94 to 93 is an A minus, and so on and so forth. So that's how you read these going down. And those are all accessible through the grade setup area. So you get access to the calculation types, or you get access to the grade scale types. Let me go over a quick example on how to set up category weights. So if you click on the little arrow, click on category weights, you're going to be able to add as many categories as you want to make up the final grade. So I'm going to do boom, 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 boom. Well, actually, we'll do class participation. So I'm going to say these 4 categories are going to make up my final grade. So any assignment that falls outside of these 4 categories, it's not going to be included in my final grade calculation. So if, say, for example, I were to create a final exam assignment, that's not on here. So when I use the category weights option, since final exam is not part of one of these categories, even though the student got 100 and it's totally worth half of his grade, if it's not in here, it's not going to affect the final grade. It has everything that makes up the student's final grade should be listed here. All the categories that are going to be making up the student's final grade. So that's really important, because when teachers like to switch to category weights, I always tell them they always have some issues. You know, the grade's not coming out quite the way I looked. We jump into grade setup, we go to category weights, and we find that there are a few assignments not in here because the category is not in here. Okay. Now notice from here I can set certain weights. Now the weights, you could set them as percentages, you could set them as points. The system will automatically calculate this percentage to the appropriate percentage. So I can say, I can put in percentages like I want class participation to be 20% of the grade, homework to be another 20%, quiz to be a 30%, and test to be a good 40% of the grade. Now that didn't really add up to 100, but as you can see, on the right-hand side, the system automatically, in the percent column, it automatically generated what I was trying to say. So, so as you can see, test is going to be double whatever classroom participation is, and it's also going to be double of whatever homework percentage is going to be. So it doesn't have to be a percentage. You could literally say 2, 1.5, 1, 1, and the system will automatically adjust. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, one of the things you want to make sure that you have is that you're adjusting those percentages accordingly. So if you're going to use percentages, make sure you use percentages for all of them. If you're going to use points, make sure you use points for all of them. So what I mean by that, so let me see here. Let me say, let's do 4 for this one. 3. I think the reason this is changing so much is because it's doing some sort of weighing here. So let's do 1 for this one, 3 for this one. Let's just say 2 for this one. Okay, so there you go. This is going to be worth 4 times as much as this one. This is going to be worth half as much as the test. And all those percentages got adjusted accordingly. Okay, so you could do points or you could do percentages. The system will automatically adjust how much should be allocated to each category based off those weights. Okay. Let me go ahead and take a quick pause on this one because I have a lot of questions coming in now. Actually, before I take a pause, let's finish up the tabs across the top. So that's grade setup. That's the way you're going to be able to set up the calculations. So if you set up calculations for trimester 1, that doesn't mean that you finish the setup for trimester 2. Trimester 2 could be a separate setup, and trimester 3 could be a separate setup as well. So if you like the setup that you did for trimester 1, here I'll do a quick little mock. Actually, I'll just so everybody can see. So right now, trimester 1 set to total points, trimester 2 is set to total points, and trimester 3 is set to total points. Now let's say in trimester 1, I want to set up some sort of category weights where I'm going to do class participation, homework, test, and quiz. And then I'm going to set the weights to class participation being 10% of the grade, homework being about 20% of the grade, and quiz being 30, while test is also going to be 30%. So again, that doesn't have to add up to 100. That's just the weights that I'm setting. PowerSchool will automatically set those weights for me. I'm sorry, the percentages that are allocated to each category for me. And so let's go ahead and hit save. Let's say that is exactly what I want to do. This is my trimester 1 final grade calculation formula. Okay, these 4 categories are going to make up my trimester 1. Now, does that mean trimester 2 also has this setup? No, that does not mean trimester 2 also has this setup. Trimester 2 could be a separate setup. There is a copy button, so I can hit this copy button. I'm going to make sure I highlight that for you guys. That's right here. There is a copy button that I can hit, and from here you can see select the item to be copied. I'm going to say trimester 1 only. I'm going to hit OK. And then what do I want to copy the setup to? Trimester 2 and trimester 3. And hit next and hit finish. And so now, if I click into trimester 2, there's my category weights. Trimester 3 now has that category weights. And so now I set it up at trimester 1 and then copied it to the other 2 trimesters so that it's all consistent across the board. So you could do that in grade setup. Okay. Class content across the top here, just for the last 2 links. Class content is a way for you just to view the name of the course number, the section number. Earlier, somebody asked about section description. Here is the section description. I know that was asked when we were looking at the parent portal. So I'm going to go ahead and save that so we can take a look on the parent portal. Here's the parent portal. Start page, backpack icon. Actually, it was the backpack icon for computers. Billy Armstrong. And we're going to click on quick lookup. And I believe it was computer section trimester 1. There's the section description that was asked of earlier. Somebody earlier in the conversation had asked if the section description is something that parents and teachers see or parents and admins see. The answer to that is yes. You can set that here in class content, class info, description. As you set that and save it, it's going to show up on the quick lookup screen on the parent portal and the um, admin portal as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue here. There's a reports section. By the way, if you have a lot of classes with the same name, there is a custom display name that you can set. Um, let's call this the Alpha Computers, maybe. Hit save. Okay, so we'll call that Alpha Computers. Now, by setting this custom display name, that could show up in the gradebook. So on the left-hand side here in the listing, notice it still says 4th grade computers. If I go up to Tools, Preferences, Sections, I can enable custom display name from showing up. So I'm going to hit OK, and notice now that says Alpha Computers. That is a way just to, if you have a lot of courses with the same name, but they're different groups of students, custom display name is a way to kind of make sense of those class names. You know, this is my alpha, this is my betas, these are my, or this is my A group, this is my B group, or this is my morning group, this is my afternoon group. You could make sense of the computer classes, in that sense, or other classes. I've seen some pretty big schedules for teachers. So being able to custom display a name just on the gradebook. By the way, this is just on the gradebook. This is not renaming the class uh, on the report card or anything like that. This is just strictly on the gradebook. Okay. Setting this custom display name is a way to do that. Okay. There's a reports tab as well. So the reports gives you access to a few different things like a missing assignment report, um, an individual student report. So if you wanted to run off a report of a student and their progress in your school, say maybe at parent-teacher conferences, this individual student report would be nice. Print one of these out, one for each student, and it can give you a breakdown on how they're progressing in each category, or just a printout of all the assignments and their scores, so you can present that at parent-teacher conferences. So any one of these will be really nice to use. I'll give you guys a chance to play with those. They're pretty straightforward. You click on them. There's a few options, including date ranges. So if you want to do trimester 1 only, students, PDF, and hits run, and then they're going to display on screen as a PDF module. I'll revisit this individual student report for you guys in this training after I create a few assignments. But let's go ahead and get into the training again so that we can get into creating assignments. So in the manual, page 7, we did quite a few things in this manual. So far, I gave you a quick overview of what is in the gradebook and how to navigate it. We went over these features really quick. We'll get into it more in the training and in questions. We did talk about categories. So page 8, I did get a chance to spill into page 8 here a little bit. Page 8 talks about where the categories pane is. And then it also gives you instructions how to create new categories. Again, categories is that general term or that general bucket where all the assignments go into, And so just you want to make sure that you keep, when you create new categories, keep them pretty general. Um, Here the screenshot shows you where the pane is, the little dialog box when you're creating a new category. So we got through page 8 here. 7 and 8 we did really quickly. Um, let's get into some questions here before we continue. I know I got quite a list here. Let's see. This one. Okay. Um, so do I have to set up each class as a group, or if I want to email the whole class? No, you do not have to set up each group. Okay, so I did get this question about groups, and maybe this question came in after I did a little more explanation on groups, or before I did a little more explanation on groups. But basically, groups is just a way of categorizing a few students in your gradebook. It's for display purposes. Notice you can do filtered by, highlight it, but it honestly, I just use this active. I actually don't even create additional groups. Um, if somebody has a great idea on why we would create different groups, that I'm happy to hear it. But honestly, groups, I don't know if it's useful to maybe some data entry when you're entering in assignments. Maybe it's a little different that way. It's just a way of organizing your gradebook, essentially, the display of students. Um, but honestly, I mean, we've kind of broken out the students into different class types. So I mean, the students are already in groups in the sense that they are in the class that you're teaching or grading at the moment. So I'm not sure if you want to further break down that group into two, maybe three pods, the A, B, C group. I don't know. You don't have to do that. It's kind of a luxury. It's kind of a way of just doing more things in there. Um, so I hope I answered that question there for you. Also, can you tell us your name again? Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry. My name is Gilbert Suarez. I am the Power School lead here at the Archdiocese. So I run the support group for you guys. There's a number of people that work underneath me. Um, so whenever you guys call our help desk, you either be talking to myself, an individual named Ruben. We also have a couple other guys, Joseph, Lake. So any one of those people that you call will answer the phone and help you out. But I can certainly, I'm more than happy to give my name out. um, when creating categories, is there a way to apply them to each class? Or do you have to make categories for each class individually? That is a good question. Nicole, you do not have to create categories per class. When you're creating the categories, they're created for your entire grade book. And so, as you notice, we were set into fourth grade computers when I created this training category. If I switch to say music, for example, that category is there as well. So there's a little sense of when you create categories, it's for your grade book, not for your class. So you only have to create the category once for all your classes, essentially. So hopefully that helps out. It's a good question. Can attendance be recorded and submitted through the gradebook? Do we need to use the separate teacher portal for that? Teacher portal for that. Jack, that is a great question. And I know you're staring right at this icon right up here on the top right that gives you the illusion that you could take attendance here. But when you click on that, let's go ahead and do that really quick. I'm going to go ahead and click on that attendance chair. Notice, oh, hey, look, I've got a few attendance options: single day, multi-day seating chart. I'm going to click on the single day, and all that really does is it redirects me back to the teacher portal where I can submit my attendance there. Here it goes. And there it is. So it opened up my Chrome browser again. opened up PowerTeacher directly into the fourth grade class to record attendance. Okay, so so to answer your question, all attendance recording has to be done through the portal. There's a shortcut on the gradebook where you can click on it, click single day, and it'll redirect you back to the portal. But all attendance has to be in the teacher portal. This gradebook does not hold attendance codes. We're having difficulty with the website to log in. Would you be able to share the information again, please? Um, is there any particular information you were looking at, Aaron? Um, what in particular can we go over again? Because I know you said you're having some difficulties with the website. Um, is it the training itself you're talking about, or a particular aspect of the training we went over? Um, the webinar is recorded, so I will be sharing the recording link for later viewing. So if it's something that we went over in the webinar, I don't want to go spend too much time and go over it again completely, but I will have a link with the recording you can view later. If there's one particular thing about the training that you missed, feel free to, ask me about that and I'll go over it really quick. But unfortunately, I'm not sure I'm going to go back and go cover the entire overview really quick. Just let me know what it is that you need. Um, let's see. Can you show how to email again? Sure. Actually, I have not shown how to email just yet, but that is a really good segue. So we'll go ahead and show how to email right now on screen. So let me actually take a little. Take a little tangent here from this training. One of the things that you guys attending this training today have the privilege of doing is using a small email client through the gradebook. Okay, what I mean by that is today I'm offering two trainings. Today's training, which is the original gradebook, and then we have the afternoon training, which is a web-based gradebook. Okay, by you guys attending this training today, I'm going to be able to show you how from this original gradebook, you're going to be able to send out emails that you cannot do with the web gradebook. So the web gradebook that I'm teaching on in the afternoon, you will not be able to send emails through the gradebook. You have to use Gmail or Yahoo or Outlook just like you normally do to send out those emails. However, in this gradebook that we're looking at here on screen, there is going to be a way for you to email your students and your parents from this gradebook. Okay, so let me go ahead and take a look at that now, and I'll show you guys how to do that on screen. So on Tools, you're going to go up to the top here and go to Tools, and there's going to be an option called Email Students and Parents. So let's go ahead and click on that. And when you click on that, you're going to get a little pop-up message. If it didn't find some addresses, email addresses, you're going to get this email, and it's going to tell you check with your administrator, make sure all the emails are populated. Hit OK. And let's go ahead and, as you can see, you can select the class that you want to email. Though it's tempting to just select all, please don't. Send emails per group of per classes. So if you want to email the homeroom class, email just the homeroom class, and then separately maybe email the music class, and then separately email the computer class. I know that seems like a little bit of a pain, but in the past, I've seen where if you send out a mass emailer to about 100 of your students, sometimes those emails don't get through to the parents because of spam blockers, right? And so if you're sending about 100 emails at one time, that email, that Yahoo or that Gmail or that Hotmail email client may block that email as potential for spam. It's looking at 100 email addresses at one time. That may trigger something that says, hey, this is probably spam. And your parents probably won't get that email. Um, what I always suggest, if you guys are going to use this feature and send emails out to parents, make sure you maybe write up a quick little tutorial for parents to say, hey, I'm going to be sending emails through Gradebook. Check your spam folder. Maybe make sure they don't get there. I've had parents never receive communication because their email client simply just throws this email into their spam folder. So you want to make sure that they check their spam folder, check their trash folder, make sure the emails that you're sending to them are not getting blocked by any filters. Okay. Um, and so here I'm going to send an email to my fourth grade homeroom class. I'm going to go ahead next. Notice it populates for me a list of students and a list of staff. I'm sorry, list of students and a list of parents. And in parentheses, if there's no email address recorded for these individuals, it's going to tell you that there's no email address recorded. So in this case, for this test subject, I don't believe I have many email addresses for these test students. And so that's what we're seeing on screen is that a lot of these students won't have email addresses that I can send them to. But if you see something like this on your screen, when you're about to send an email, check with your admins, make sure there's emails recorded for students, and make sure there's emails recorded for parents and guardians. So those email addresses are picked up by PowerSchool and displayed here, which then you can select who you want to send an email to. You could send it to everyone, or you could just send it to a select group of parents or students. Um, so the other thing is here's the subject. You can write in a quick little subject on what the email's about, and then a message, and you could even send yourself a copy and hit send now. And that email will get processed almost immediate by the PowerSchool server and will get sent out to parents just like any other email will. One little caveat that I'm going to say about email, and this is as of a recent update to PowerSchool, the emails that parents get now it comes from a system generated email address. Okay, so it's going to say something like powerschool@archchicago.org or something like that. So the sender uh, for that email that you're sending is going to be either powerschool@sbtcsupport.org or powerschool@archchicago.org. One of those two email addresses is the from or the sender. Okay. So with that said, you do not when you send those emails, maybe tell your parents because your email address, your teacher email address will be put into the subject of the body. It'll say something along the lines of this email address was sent on behalf of blank, which is your teacher email address. At that point, the teacher, if the parents wanted to reply back, they can simply copy your email address, throw it into their browser, and send you an email back. Okay. They should not receive that email from you and hit reply right away because that will never get back to you. I think we've gone ahead and created an auto replier for that email address, that PowerSchool at sbtcsupport.org, that if a parent sends an email there, they're going to be prompted with an auto replier saying, sorry, this is an unmonitored email address. Please be sure to go back to your email and view where the teacher's email is listed and send them a separate email. So that's one thing I want to tell you guys all about the email is that it's a possibility from within the gradebook. And this original gradebook's the only one that could send emails. Okay, so there it goes. You go to Tools, Email Parents and Staff, or Parents and Students. That's how you send emails. Is it possible to send an email to just one person through the gradebook? Yes. You can hand select who gets an email. So yes, the intention, of course, is to, if you see a student kind of falling behind, missing some grades, missing grades on a few assignments, you can go ahead and email the parents to let them know, hey, your son might be missing a few assignments, just wanted to give you a heads up. That is the intention of the email in the gradebooks, that you can send a quick little message out to the parents with regards to assignments that might be in there. Now, I know some staff in the past have used this email feature as their main method of communication. Say, for example, they announce, that there's going to be a summer reading club, or an upcoming field trip. That really isn't not the intention of this email feature. There are other email features that the Archdiocese partners with that are meant for mass communication like that, just mass general communication. You could use the Power School for that, but I don't know. I would be more willing to trust a that third party vendor that the Archdiocese works for mass emailers. Say you want to mass email the entire school. That might not be something you do through here. This is more intended to be emailed just to the class or maybe a couple of students. So that's what this email feature is for. How many emails per student? Uh, does it include the student email address as well as the parent? When I send the email, will it go to multiple per student? Tony, to answer your question, uh, you can send as many emails as you want. Um, email addresses is a data entry job for your office. So if they're not in the system, please ask your office to go ahead and populate them for you. Uh, and when you send emails, will they go through? Will it go to multiple per student? Um, Multiple per student. It should not, Tony. It should not go multiple per student. Um, that's why when I was going through the email students and parents feature, I was suggesting not to do multiple classes at one time. Do one class at a time. It's going to help with um, making sure that the email gets to the receiver and it doesn't get blocked by any spam. So if you do this, select all basically, there is a possibility that the students will get multiple emails because homeroom is the same students as computers. So it's possible that the student might get two emails there. And it's also possible that that email address may not even make it to anyone because it may have gotten blocked by spam. So I always suggest just do one at a time. That way it doesn't get flagged for potential spam. I can see how to do it. Great. Let's see. Thank you. I have a. Okay, wonderful. Someone's leaving, but yes, we will have the recording available. Is there a way I can see the emails I sent? You can send yourself a copy. So Debbie, you can send yourself. Uh, you can send yourself a copy actually. So when you go through tools, email parents and staff, there is a link here, and I'll highlight it in a second. Right here that says send me a copy. So when you check off that box, you're going to get a copy of that email address that you sent. Okay. So yes, there's a way for you to send yourself a copy. Sorry, I'm still confused. I'm signed up for the afternoon training, but I'm confused the difference between that training and this training. So if you're signed up for the afternoon training and are attending this training, it's a completely different grade book. Okay. So everything I'm showing you on here, there's ways of doing that in the new grade book, but it's completely different. There's different. It's not gonna look the same. So if you're on this training hoping to get information about the afternoon training, it's gonna be comparable but not exact. Okay, because the other gradebook is completely different. This is a Java-based gradebook. It's the original gradebook that PowerSchool comes with. The other gradebook is brand new. It's web-based. It looks different. You click on different things. So it's if you're I'm not sure if this was the only one you're able to attend, Stacy, but it is a completely different grade book. And even the current topic that we're talking about, which is email, um, that feature is not available in the new gradebook. So I hope you guys signed up for the right training. More than happy to welcome you to the afternoon training. I'll be there as well. Let's see. I'm thinking about students who have parents that each need the data. Sure. Oh yeah. Parents. There could be multiple email addresses per parent. So Tony, to answer your question, when you click on email parents, if there are two email addresses listed for the parent, you're going to have the ability to send it to two different parents. It's all a data entry thing. So in PowerSchool, there's a mother email and there's a father email and there's even a guardian email, you know. And so if all of those exist in PowerSchool, you're going to be able to send all of those parents an email address. So hopefully that answers that question there. Can you send me the info for PowerTeacher Pro group? I think I'll go ahead and I'll put on screen in a moment the registration link. But it's a separate setup and the separate registration. So I'll go ahead and put that on screen a little later. Is the web-based gradebook one you can access from a Chromebook? Oh, that is a wonderful question. Wonderful question, Debbie. So here, one thing I'm going to say right now about this gradebook versus the afternoon gradebook. Okay, this gradebook, great option if you have a laptop, desktop that you can work from. Okay, or even a MacBook or Mac Air device, because you have to install Java on your computer in order for this to work. Okay, you cannot install Java on a phone. You cannot install Java on a Chromebook, and you cannot install Java on a tablet. Okay, those are different devices that you cannot install Java on. So because you cannot install Java on those devices, you cannot use this original gradebook on those devices. The afternoon gradebook is a web-based gradebook, so that one will be able to be used on a Chromebook, tablet, maybe even a smartphone. You know, um, as long as you have a web browser, you're going to be able to access the afternoon one. So this training is great for those that have laptop desktops readily accessible to them to access the gradebook from those devices. Okay, so hopefully that helps you kind of make a decision on what training or what gradebook you're going to be using at your school, because this gradebook, laptop, desktop, predominantly. Okay. All right. So I got through all those questions. That's wonderful, wonderful questions. Some things that I may have overlooked, and I wanted just to make sure I backtracked and covered those things. Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to the training module here, and we'll go back and forth here to questions. So page 9 talks about adding assignments. Okay, adding assignments. Okay, I mentioned in this manual it's going to talk about step 1. Click on the assignments tab. Step 2, choose the right term. Step 3, choose the right class. Step 4, click the plus button. Step 5 and 6, create all of the required data. Okay, now let's go over this in the gradebook live here, a live demonstration of how to create an assignment. So the assignment talks about, or I'm sorry, the guide talks about clicking on the assignments tab, clicking on this plus symbol, and then from here giving it a name. Let's call this homework 1, category homework, score type points, points possible. Let's cut this down to 50. Extra points 0, weight 1, due date, let's do it today, And here I have an option of giving it a description. So here's the area where I can give a description of what the assignment is, resources where students can get information for this homework assignment, if this is something they are to do at home, uh, and find certain websites to reference. You could throw those in here, including just description of what the homework assignment entails. You can hit save, and now that assignment is listed at the top of my listing here in assignments. Now, I told you guys that when you create an assignment here, you can switch to score sheet and see it here as well. Now here we have a blue column displayed now, blue being the color designated for homeroom category, where I see that every student can receive a homework assignment now. Now you can also create assignments here by clicking on the plus symbol in the score sheets, and you have very similar ways of creating it. So here I'm going to do test 1, call it T1, or we'll call it test 1 category, the test category. We'll go with points again. We'll go with 100 points this time. Due date today. Hit save, and as you can see, there's another assignment listed here. Now in a red column. Red is the color designated for the test category. Blue for the homework, red for the test category, and notice if I switch back to the assignment tab, those two are listed there as well. Okay, so back to score sheet, you got the two assignments I created. You can create assignments here, or you can create assignments here. Okay, now I'm going to create a couple more here just for testing purposes. So let's go homework 2, or actually, I'm going to make sure I change a few things here so you guys can see a few variations of creating assignments. Where did it go? Actually, let's just... Okay. Give me 1 second. I need to find the little date box. There it is. All right. I'm just going to switch this to Monday. And I'm actually going to do percentages on this one. I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to create one more. I'm going to call this one, call this a quiz. Call this QZ1. Give it a quiz type. We'll go with 25 points. Actually, we're going to do letter grade on this one. We'll do something a little different here. We'll go with letter grade. This one is going to be due on the 13th as well. Hit save, and there you go. So I've got 4 assignments, 3 different score types, so I can highlight the different scoring types when you're entering in scores for an assignment. Okay. So the first one here is a homework type. Now notice you can see in the little ribbon, the little assignment ribbon here, the name, the due date, and even the amount of points that this assignment is worth. So this is worth out of 50 points. So when I'm scoring it here, I could actually click into the box that intersects the column for the homework and the first student's name. I can click into that box, and I can just simply type in with my keyboard the number 50 or 47, 45, any number that falls within that 0 to 50 range. I could even do 49.5. I can do 44. I could do 1, all the way down. Hit save. And there you go. That's how you score that assignment all the way down. Okay. Now I did each box individually, and I kept hitting enter after each one to move to the next one, or at least, or the down arrow, I'm sorry. So I can enter the first one, go down, go down, go down, go down, 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 and enter, and finally hit save. You want to hit that save. Don't forget to hit save, because every change you make, if you don't hit save, it's not going to stick. I've had people put an entire week's worth of assignments into their computer at home, forget to hit save, they get to their computer at school, and none of those assignments are there. Now, if you lose power to that laptop, it's possible that those assignments are long gone. Those scores that you entered and spent some time at home, it's possible that they're long gone. So um, make it a habit to hit that save button. It's going to be super helpful. Hit it as many times as you want. Make one change, hit save. You know, um, don't wait to put a whole curriculum's worth of assignments and scores to hit save. Because that'll just present a bigger possibility of losing that data. So, um, so hit save often. Okay. Now, is there a way for us to quickly fill all of these all the way down? The answer to that is yes. Okay. If I right click, so here I'm looking at test one, the column test one, I highlighted it. I'm ready to enter the first score. I'm actually going to right click on the header or the ribbon, the red ribbon that says test one, and I'm going to say quick fill. Okay. Now in quick fill, I can say, give everybody 100, and it just fills it all the way down. Then I could go in and individually record. Maybe a handful of students did not get 100, hit save, and that saved me some time with scoring assignments. Now, when I was doing the quick fill, notice that I didn't have a possibility to go above 100. That is because I don't have any extra points. So let me go back into the assignment setup by double clicking here. Let me give the possibility for some extra points. Let me say about 10 extra points. And I'm going to hit save. Close that out. Now I'm going to clear all the scores again. And let's go ahead and do that quick fill again. So it's quick fill. And now, as you can see, I can go up to 110. I can go any variation from 100 to 109. So I can do 100 for everybody. This student had, 110. They did the extra credit. And I can hit save. And they're going to get a bump in their grade a little bit because of those extra points. So you could do extra points to give some extra credit, where you can go above the assignment's point total. So the assignment's point total is still 100, and anyone that receives 100 out of 100 gets that A plus. So as you can see, this first student has gotten all right on the first assignment, all right on the second assignment. That's 100%. So, so those 10 extra points are not hindering their credit, their score at all. Here, this student failed the first one, got 110 in the second one, so it is actually giving him a little bit of a bump. That percentage is still really low, but it'll get bigger as we put in more and more assignments. Okay, so I hope that helps there. The next column here is a homework 2 column. Now the way this changed a little bit is now I'm entering in percentages. So if I were to go into grades, now I'm seeing percentages as opposed to points. Now this is out of 100 always, where points might be out of 50, 10, 20. As a matter of fact, I'll highlight that right now. Let's make this homework assignment out of 25 points. Still percentages is the scoring method. So when I record and say grade, if I give this one 100, that's 100% of the points. If I score this to 25, that's going to be 25%. Not 25 points, 25%. So it's really, really important to know when you're entering in. Are you entering in with percentages, points, or letter grades? Because You don't want to do 25 for 25 out of 25 points and hit enter, and that's actually 25%, not 25 points. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a quick fill. Give everybody 100. Go 100 with this one. And there you go. That's how you would do percentages. So as you can see, you can have a mixture of points, percentages, and then I'm going to show you a fourth option, which is letter grades. And so you can see how when you're entering in assignments and scores, that's a possibility. I believe the only one that does not allow you for extra credit is the letter grade recording option. The percentage does allow for some extra points. The test does allow for the total points do allow for some extra points, but not the letter grade. The letter grade does not allow for any total points. Okay, so if you right click on this and go to quick fill, now as you can see, I'm entering in letter grades as opposed to points, as opposed to percentages. So here, what we're doing is we're actually putting A, B, C, D, A plus. Those are all acceptable values, and those values have some percentage designation. So you want to look at those grade scales before you start using letter grades as your grading option. The reason I say that, let me go ahead and hit save on here. And I'm going to go to switch to grade setup. And I'm going to switch to grade scales. I'm going to open up that grade scale again here. When I assign a letter grade, so if I score by grade, the A plus is going to get this percentage value. The A is going to get this percentage value. The A minus is going to get this percentage value. The B plus is going to get this value. The B is going to get this value. So they're very static values that I'm assigning. So when I'm scoring by letter grade, the A means something and the B means something. And those are all in the grade scale as I showed you there. So I'm going to do a quick fill everybody else in at A plus, hit save. And as you can see, all of these assignments are contributing, whatever their scores are, whatever their percentages are contributing to the overall final grade, which is a running total of these 4 assignments. So as I create more and start scoring more, this final grade column is going to keep changing. Okay, so that is how to create assignments. Okay, you can create assignments in the score sheet, which I like to do because the score sheet is predominantly the screen I use the most, or you can create them in assignments and then go back to score sheet to score them. So if you do them here, you can populate a giant list of assignments. If you do it here, you can create the assignments and score it all in the same screen. All of them do the same thing, so I'll leave you guys up to choose your preference there. So let's go back to the manual here and see what kind of things we missed. So here is how to add an assignment. We went over that. Here it is, continued. Here it talks about the Publish tab. Okay, I'll mention that really quick in case you're having some difficulties where parents cannot see the scores that you're assigning. So the Publish tab, what that means is, so I'm going to double click into this assignment. I'm going to bring up this assignment details screen. I'm going to go over to the Publish tab here. So what this Publish tab means is if I uncheck this and hit save, this assignment and these scores will not display on the parent portal. Okay, they will contribute to the overall final grade. So if I alter something here, that is going to affect the overall final score, but the 0 will not actually print on the parent portal. That may be a useful tactic in case you want to hold off on showing the scores just yet and then later on publishing it. Okay, if you're unsure whether your assignments are set to publish, this little yellow circle with the exclamation point in the blue ribbon here is the indicator. That means whenever you see that, that means the assignment is not set to publish. So if you click into it and you go over to the Publish tab, you can simply throw a check in there, hit Save, and that is actually going to make that yellow circle disappear, and the scores will now display on the parent portal. Okay, so that's interesting to note. There's going to be little indicators throughout PowerSchool that help you identify what each thing means. The little yellow circle was scores were not published. Okay, let's go back to the manual really quick. So that's what the manual talked about, the publish feature. I wanted to make sure this page 10 was in there in this manual because I've had a number of people um, in the category level uncheck this box and hit save. And so now every future assignment, say I want to do another assignment here, call it homework 3. If I'm not paying attention to this, let's bring this up to the 20th. If I'm not paying attention to it, it's automatically going to give me that yellow circle because at the category level, the default is not publish. And so you see when I created this assignment here, now I get a little yellow circle by default, and that means that at the category level, the thing is unchecked. Now, the only way to fix it is to double click on that assignment, go to publish, and publish the score whenever you're ready. So that might be something that you might want to do. It's just to create the assignment, unpublish it, score it, and then publish it when you're ready for parents to see those scores. Okay, let's go back to the manual here and talk about a few other things. There's a copy assignment feature, which is super nice. Say you have a list of assignments that you've already created for one class, and you want to copy all those assignments to another group of students in a different class, you can do that by simply going through the copy and assignment feature. Okay, I'll do an on-screen demonstration of what that means. So here, I'm selected to my Alpha Computers class with all of these students, 5 assignments, and I want to move all of these assignments, not the scores, but the assignments to another class that's going to be very similar to this, just a different group of students. So to do that, all I would go up to is Tools, Copy Assignments. I tell it which assignments I want to copy. Let's say I want to do all of them. Go Next, and now it tells me which classes I want to send it to. Which are the classes that I want to send these assignments to? So I'm going to say homeroom for now. That doesn't make a lot of practical sense, but it is going to show, I'm going to highlight how homeroom was empty before. Now, after this copy feature, these 5 assignments are going to be in homeroom as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. It takes a moment, quickly finishes. Now on the left-hand side, I'm going to go up to 4th grade homeroom, and there you go. Those are the 5 assignments that were in Alpha Computers initially. They were scored. Now in homeroom, they are there as well, possibly for a different group of students. Same assignments, helps you with data entry. You don't have to type it in over and over and over and over. Okay, so there's the copy assignment feature. Okay, now I've kind of gone through 2 different pages, creating an assignment, scoring an assignment, and even copying an assignment. So I want to take a pause and then answer some questions that you might have. I see some came through, so I'm going to go ahead and read those off. How do we know which grade book our school is using? Okay, that's a really good question. You ask your administration. This is actually the new grade book. So So if you guys are all new teachers, the good news is the new gradebook that I keep referencing, it's not, it's only been new as of this year. So, so you're not behind on much, right? So the new gradebook hasn't been out for a number of years, and schools get to choose back and forth over the years. This is only being more relevant this year because teachers and different schools and principals can pick which gradebook their schools um, can use. And as a matter of fact, the other bit of good news is um, you as a teacher can individually select which classes, so it's at the class level, which classes go to which gradebook. Okay, so there is a level of detail there that you can cut it down all the way to down to the individual classes um, for the grade book. Okay, so what I mean by that is you can have one of your classes be the new grade book, and you can only enter and view data in for that class in the new grade book, and all 9 of your other classes you can have those be with the original grade book. So it gets to be a little complicated. I would check with your school principal about it. Um, my thoughts is if they know nothing about the new gradebook, then they're using the old gradebook. So the old gradebook is the default. The new gradebook, you have to specifically request to enable the new gradebook. So I hope that helps. Ask your principals. They more than likely are well informed on whether they're switching to the new gradebook or not. The default is the original gradebook that we're going over now. Okay, so when adding, so here I'll type that up. Default is original gradebook. Check with admins to. Okay, when adding an assignment, if you put it into a particular category, okay, this is a good question. I think I covered it, but I want to read it again. When adding an assignment, if you put it into a particular category, you do not use a weighing of anything but 1.0. Um, yeah, yeah, I would. Um, so I think what that question talks about is the weight option here at the assignment level. Um, I'm not a big fan of that weight option there. Um, because there is category weights, right? So category weights will group a bunch of assignments together and give them a particular weight towards final grade, right? This weight option that I'm highlighting here, and I'll put it in more specifically, so it's this one we're talking about. That one here, you could, if you don't have category weights set up, here is where you can individually set up a weight for one assignment. Um, and so I'm not a big fan of that, but it is an option. So say whatever the students get in this homework assignment, it's only going to be worth 50%, and that's how you would enter 50% of the total score. So if this is out of, so actually you could even see it in the ribbon up here. You see where it says points. So I'm going to highlight it so you can see it. It even highlights it here. So it says points possible 50 times 0.50, which is going to give you half of the points. So if a student gets, say, all of them correct, they get all 50 correct, right? Hit save. If they have all 50 correct, notice that here, it cut that down by half. So instead of being 50 out of 50, because of that assignment weight here, now you only have 25 out of 25. So it's weighing down the amount of um, points that are possible in every assignment. So hopefully that helps kind of highlight that there for you guys. I don't know. Let's see at the category level. Oh yes, even at the category level. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm confusing this 100. So as you can see at the category level, there's no weight option. That is a setting that's only available at the assignment level. So when you create an assignment, that is where the assignment weight comes into play. I would not do both. As a matter of fact, I would not do, if you have category weights set up, don't do both where you set up weights here and category weights. That's gonna like half a half of a point, and so that's gonna really diminish any sort of score you put in there. So either do assignment weights or category weights. Don't do both. Okay. Um, so I hope that helps. Yes, that is correct. Do category weights or assignment. Don't do both. Perfect. Good question. Um, what is the LTR designation under Q1? Oh, Eileen, hopefully I answered that, but that was the letter grade option, so that you can score by an A, B, or C letter grade. Something a little different. I don't. I'm a big fan of the points because it's very transparent how points are calculated. Percentages is pretty straightforward as well. Um, so I'm also a big fan of percentages and points. I'm not a huge fan of grading by letter grades, although it's a possibility. The reason I'm not a huge fan of a letter grade is because the letter grade, if you receive an A on an assignment, so if you receive this A, or here, I'll do it here, it doesn't give you the option to say how good of an A it is. Is it 98% of an A or is it 94% of an A? It doesn't really tell you. It's just, as a matter of fact, it defaults to the value 95. So here, I'll highlight all of those values here so you guys can see that when you give letter grades like this, it defaults to some static percentage value that you have no control over. So if a student receives a B, that's going to be an 87%, right? And it's not going to give you the ability to go up to an 88% or an 89% or even a 90%. You know, it's just going to be the static 87%. Okay, so I'm not a huge fan of grading by letter grades, although it is a possibility. Because it could confuse the parents and say, well, my student got an A. Why is that the low A, not the high A? You know, that's all part of grade scales. Um, if you put in 51 plus, will it count as an extra credit? The only way you could put in 51 plus, obviously, is when you're creating the assignment, if you give it extra points, some extra points, that's the only way you'll be able to go above and beyond the possible points, the points possible. So this one's set to 100. If you give it 10 more extra points, you're going to be able to go above the 100 to 110. Other than that, you cannot go above 100. So here, for example, I'll highlight that, say this assignment here is worth 100 points. If I wanted to give this 110 here, that is an error. That is an invalid score. I'm not able to put that in there. Okay, so hopefully that helps out. The system will at least prompt you to say, hey, that's not a possibility. And so hopefully that helps there. Okay, I've answered all the questions I've got so far. Keep them coming because we have a little bit more of training to go. And then I'm going to open up the floor to you guys. This is all your time to pick my brain. I've been using the Power School system for a number of years, so I know a lot about it. The gradebook, though I don't spend 100% of my time in the gradebook, I know a lot about it. And so I could tell you pretty much a lot that's in the gradebook. Um, okay, let's go with enter grade and comment on an assignment. Okay, we've been kind of doing this already, but I wanted to kind of formally show you how to do it. So what this talks about is in the score sheet, you can click on the letter grade or the box to put in the assignment score for each individual assignment, and you could even put in a comment. You could even do things like mark something late, mark it collected. Let's go take a look at that really quick. So what's that saying is that if you click into the box where you're about to put in the score, you can right click and get a few more options. If you say collected, it won't give you any percentage or any points towards the final grade, but it will give you like a little indicator that, hey, the assignment was collected, in case you wanted to mark off who's collected what assignment and then go back and grade it later. You could also, when you right click, go to grades and record a grade for that. And you can also mark it late, or you can mark it exempt. So if you mark it exempt, that won't count towards final grade. Notice how when I select exempt, the score goes grayed out. In final grade, I have nothing. If I uncheck exempt, the final grade starts to calculate that score, and that starts to count. The late doesn't really penalize the assignment at all. It's just simply an indicator that when the student turned in the assignment, it was late. If you want to choose to penalize the student for that grade, you certainly could, and leave the little late symbol to indicate why that score was a little lower than the actual score that the student received. Okay. There's even a missing indicator. Okay. Again, it's just a little symbol to indicate that a score was missing or maybe an assignment is missing. So when you're looking over your grade book, you can see whether it was late, missing, or collected, and these are all just little indicators. These indicators, by the way, do get communicated to the parent portal. So if you wanted to indicate, hey, this kid received a 90 out of 100, that was because we penalized 10% for being late. And then you can leave the little late indicator in there. Okay. You can clear scores, you can fill scores, and then this short score inspector is really nice because when you're filling in scores, you have all those same options that you have when I was right-clicking, except you have this little box to type in more information, including a comment. So this comment, so I'm going to say 10% penalty for turning in assignment late. And one thing I wanted to highlight, it's got spell check. So as you're typing in, if you're not sure if a word is spelled correctly when you're typing it in, it's going to give you a spell check. So as you saw, I typed in the word assignment incorrectly. I can right click, correct it. It's got a small little spell check on there. So hit close, save. And now that I've saved that score, notice it's got a little C on there, right? What does the little C indicate? It indicates that there's a comment in there. So if I right click on this and say show score inspector, that comment is there. And this comment actually gets viewed by the parents at the parent portal. They can view this and see why the score was 90 instead of 100. There's a little late indicator, and there's a 10% penalty in the comment area that gets communicated to the parent portal. So hopefully that helps out when you're doing a little recording. You can do put in some flags for a particular score, and even put in a little comment that gets relayed to the parents about that assignment score. Now, just to be clear, this comment is not the comment that goes on the report card. This is just an assignment comment. This comment goes on the parent portal, not on the report card. Okay, so when teachers or admins or principals tell you to put in a final grade comment, that's not where it goes. This is an assignment score comment. So for a final grade comment, I believe that's where our manual takes us to next, which is here. Enter final grade comment. So the final grade comment is going to be very similar to the assignment comment, except you're going to be right-clicking where the final grade is, and you're going to be doing Show Score Inspector, and this is the final grade score inspector where you can say things like Vanessa is a great student, needs to focus in class more. Something to that effect. Hit close, save. Now that there's a little C now up here in the final grade column area. That is an indicator that you've put in a final grade comment. So that is the grade comment that goes on the report cards. Parents can also view this comment on the parent portal. So putting them in too early might get you a few phone calls from parents. And so final grade comments are always usually put in right at the end of the term, right before report cards get printed, so that you print them, you send them home, and then that's going to be that's how you finalize that T1 and move on to T2. Just like the assignments, or I'm sorry, the attendance, you don't have to clear this. Okay, as you move on to T2, you simply just switch the reporting term, and you get a blank canvas for T2. Okay, for T1, there's all the data there. For T2, as you switch, you get a blank canvas once we cross that threshold into T2. So you don't have to clear anything. You don't have to delete all the assignments and re-enter them in for T2. The data for T1 is gonna live there. Switch to T2 in the reporting term, and now you can start putting in assignments in here for T2. Okay. I don't have many comments here. I have a lot of thank yous, which I'm very grateful for. But let's keep going here to page 14, which is going to be two last points to cover in the gradebook. This is a biggie here. Overriding final grade. That is a huge one. Everybody loves to override the final grade, and I can totally see the reason why. There is in here, there's a possibility. So let's go back to T1. If you right-click in the final grade column and say Show Score Inspector, you can check the box that says Manual Override Final Grade. Here, you can pick whatever letter grade you want with whatever percentage you think is necessary for that letter grade, and hit close, save, and now you've set the student's grade for the term without any assignments. As you can see, I didn't score any assignments for this student right here. We just simply manually overrode her grade from 0 or nothing to 97 A+. So manual override is really helpful, especially if you want to just I know I have a lot of specials teachers that love the manual override because they don't really create assignments. They just give an overall final grade at the end of the term. That's how you do manual overrides. So you don't have to individually enter assignments. You just pick the letter grade at the end of the year or at the end of the term and just hit close and save for everybody, and you're done. This is also a really great tool if your grade scales don't quite align with the grade scale that's in PowerSchool. Say you have a percentage or two that are off in each letter grade, you can do a manual override that letter grade and then do that percentage, maybe a 98, for example, for an A+, and that'll allow you to do that for those small gray areas where you want to just give the student a quick little bump or bring them down just a little bit in the letter grade, um, to accommodate for those small differences in percentage values. Now, when you do manually override a grade, it's going to be in bold. So as you can tell, these 3 grades on top are not bold. Those indicate a system calculated final grade. These 2 grades down here, they were manually overridden and they're in bold and have this little red circle on the right here to the right of the percentage. Those are indicators that these 2 scores are manually overridden. Okay, and they stay like that. They're on the report card. They don't look any different on the parent portal, on the teacher portal, on the admin portal. They don't look any different. Only in the grade book will you be able to see whether that grade was system calculated or manually overridden. So, um, so if you wanted to do all your grades manually overridden, you certainly could. It won't look any different on the report card. But I do encourage you guys to create assignments and score them and give category weights if you wanted to, get into all the little features of creating assignments and the different scoring types so you can find something that really fits your curriculum in your classroom. Okay, so that's manually overriding final grade. And then the last part of this is successful learner traits. It's a 2-pager. Okay, so successful learner traits is a great little feature. What it is if your school, so first things first, check with your school what your report card looks like. Okay, as a rule of thumb, if it's a 1-pager, you don't have to worry about successful learner traits. This is something that you won't be using. Okay, if it's a 2-pager or more, 2 pages or more, the report card, then that second page is the successful learner traits. Okay, so you do want to pay attention to this part if your school uses a 2-page report card. Okay, if it's a 1-pager, this is all extra, and you don't have to really do in your grade book. If you're a 2-pager, that you have to do this. So what these successful learner traits mean is that in the grade book there are 13 learner traits that can be observed and scored for each student in your grade book. So here I'm going to go to 4th grade homeroom, and notice I'm in set to assignment mode. I'm actually going to switch to final grades mode really quick, because when I switch here, it's going to give me some data that I wasn't able to see before. Okay, now notice I've got quite a few columns. Okay, to the far right, I've got the columns with my assignments already in there. But in these green and blue columns, what are these green and blue columns? These green and blue columns speak to successful learner traits. Okay, how you identify which are which is by simply double clicking on one of them. You get this little box down here, and in the standard ID, it should say SLT dot something, right? And there's 13 of these, so you want to find all the ones that say SLT dot something, and those are the successful learner traits you want to score. So what these successful learner traits are is they measure how a student manages his or her emotions and behavior in your classroom. Okay, so there's that one. There's this one here, which is recognizes personal strengths. The next one, which is seeks assistance when needed, strives for personal best, produces legible work, demonstrates organizational skills, respects the feelings and perspectives of others based on gospel values, uses communication and social skills to interact effectively with others, demonstrates an ability to prevent, manage, and resolve interpersonal conflicts, makes relevant contributions to the classroom discussion. And I think there's one more, accepts directions and follows rules. Let me see, is that 13? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got two more. 12 is applies decision-making skills, responsibilities with daily academic and social situations. And 13 is contributes to the well-being of one's school and community. So these 13 successful learner traits can be evaluated at the end of each term and reported on the report card. Again, check with your school to see if your school uses successful learner traits. If you do, you're going to want to go into this final grade mode, find these 13 we were just talking about. Again, double click into one of the columns and you'll find the successful learner traits because they start with SLT dot something. Okay. So in homeroom, there's 13, and you can score them by simply right-clicking, and notice that the grade scale is a little different. It's a 4, 3, 2, 1, and then this greater than symbol. Okay, so what these all means is 4 is the highest grade, 3 is the next lowest grade, and then the greater than symbol is the not evaluated during this term. I believe there's a little legend about these successful learner traits on the report card that communicates these scores to the parents, 4 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, and then this extra character symbol meaning not evaluated during this term. So this is where those successful learner traits are. You can score them just like you score the assignments earlier, how we did the assignments earlier. You can even do a quick fill to quickly fill in everybody down to a 4, and then individually going in and changing who you feel might need some help here in certain areas, and then make sure you hit save. Now these 6, I only did 5 of the 13. You want to do all 13 when you're getting ready to end the term, because these all print on the report card, and they're going to be really useful. Now, again, if it's not evaluated during that term, you could just do the caret symbol and hit save, and that will also print on the report card. And the legend on the report card will tell the parents that it's not evaluated during that term. So that's successful learner traits. Again, check with your administration what report card you use. The report card will tell you if you need to worry about successful learner traits or not. If you do, feel free to give us a call. We're willing to help you retrain you on how to enter in successful learner traits. It's not something that a lot of schools use, but there's a great number of schools that use successful learner traits. So I wanted to mention it in this training. It is there. It is available for us to use. And so that is it for that. That is actually successful learner traits covers the end of our teacher training here. I know I answered a bunch of questions, but there might still be a lot of questions out there that you might want to ask now. So please, I'm going to give you guys this time to start to post any and all questions you have about the training. If something was not clear, I'm willing to backtrack on some of this stuff here and help you out. So I'm going to just give you guys a second. And while that's going on, I'm actually going to pull up our contact information. I remember I mentioned I was going to put on screen our contact information. I'm going to go ahead and do that now because that's going to show you the best way of contacting us. Okay. There you go. So on screen here is 2 of the 3 methods of calling us, okay? You can go to this website here and submit a ticket. This is what we prefer. We prefer tickets. Um, you can log a ticket with PowerSchool. There's going to be a PowerSchool group that you want to select, and then you want to just write in the problem that you're having so we can reach out to you. You could also give us a call here. We're available there Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 p.m. So if there's something that is a little more pressing that needs an immediate answer, you're more than welcome to give us a call. If we're super busy, we will get back to you as soon as we go through the phone calls that we're currently on. But that is the second method of contacting us. Here you have the website that we prefer for you to go to log a ticket. There's the phone number. And then additionally, we have an email address called helpdesk@sbtcsupport.org. Okay, I'm going to highlight this, make it bigger for everybody to see. Pretty straightforward. A lot of people that have left. Sorry, unfortunately, I couldn't get that to you earlier, but for those of you guys still sticking around, it is helpdesk@sbtcsupport.org. You can send an email there. It's also by sending an email there, you're essentially logging a ticket as well. You're creating a ticket with our organization that we will get back to you as soon as we can. So helpdesk@sbtcsupport.org or ticketing system or phone call. We're here with you guys Monday through Friday throughout the whole school year. We're even here over the summer, so we don't take many days off. So if you guys are in school, we're at our desks, also ready to assist you guys. Okay. I'm going to review the questions really quick. Give everybody a couple minutes to post their last minute questions. Okay, I don't have many questions. I know we did run over the time. We went to a little bit over this time, but I wanted to spend that extra time to answer any questions. If you guys have to leave, please, go ahead and do so. We went over the recording time. I'm going to stop the recording now,